it's me, Karen Valentine, back again for another color along slash tutorial or tutorial color along, whatever you want to call it. I decided I had another image in mind that I wanted to do, but we're going to do that next. And we're going to do this one. It's a brand new image by Grazia Salvo, and it's one of her Women of Flowers series. And from the moment I saw her, I loved her. I loved her face. I love the image, and I think it will be a lot of fun to do. So that's what we're going to do. And I think for the skin, I'm going to do a combination of Prismacolor and Luminance. And then I will tell you what maybe I would be using if I was doing just Prismacolor, or I'll definitely show it when I do the little, I guess, right, I'm going to go down here, when I do the little description of the colored pencils that I'm using. I could also put it in there maybe as an alternative, because I know that not everybody has luminance, and so that's what we'll do. So to start with, I think we will go ahead and use our Luminance Burnt Sienna 50%. And yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit for you. And I will just go ahead and get started. Let's see, I think this is forehead right here. I just love these luminance pencils for skin tones. They do such nice, they just do such nice things for skin. So they are available open stock. So if you didn't want to invest in a whole set of these, you could just purchase the ones that you wanted to use for skin. I have an art supply addiction. I should belong to a self-help group, but I don't. And yeah, so I have a whole list of supplies that I want to try. And I'm just going to I might have to wait a little while now, since I haven't really worked for 2 months. I should probably be responsible and be careful with where I spend my money. So Grazia's Women of Flowers pictures were some of the very first portraits that I ever started coloring. So this will be kind of fun to see what she looks like and compare her to my first attempts. I did follow not follow a color along, but did watch a lot of YouTube videos on coloring skin before I started doing it. She has such a pretty face. I can't wait to see how she turns out. So I put a lot of shading over here, and I probably should have paid attention to what I was doing before I started, because it looks like there's a lot of shadow on this side of her nose, which would mean that the sun was coming from over here. But I think that that's going to be okay, because you're still going to have, in order to make the face look round, you're still going to have the contouring where the darker colors are on the outer edge. So I don't think that that's going to be a problem. We'll just make sure that we do this side a little darker than the other side. Sometimes I get too excited to start a page and I don't examine the page really carefully to make sure that I'm laying down my color where it's supposed to go. So now we're getting back into work. People are starting to go back to work now, myself included. And I got to admit, it was really, really nice kind of having the time off to pursue some other passions and get my channel going. I would really, really like to be able to continue posting new weekly tutorials. So I'm going to continue to try and do that. I just may not be able to get the whole series up all at the same time, like on a Friday, but I'll do my best. I've had some lovely Facebook and YouTube friends who have followed along and posted their colored pages in my Facebook groups. And yes, I'm referring to you, Allison. And it's been so much fun to see the colored pages and what you guys have done following my videos, and I just can't tell you how excited I get when I see a page posted from somebody who's done it through following one of these color alongs. It just makes me so happy. So I've always loved to teach art classes, generally not this kind of art. I used to teach a lot of mixed media, journals and other altered bottles and fun things like that. And so when I decided to start my YouTube channel and teach this way, it felt really good to get back to doing that again. So keep on posting those pictures. I absolutely love seeing them. And I love seeing what you guys do and how you kind of make it your own style and your own look. Because we all do have our own styles for sure. kind of interesting to me how I have some friends where I don't even have to look at the name. I can just look at the page and how it's been colored and can identify who colored it. I just think that's so much fun, because we really all do have our own style and our own techniques. And even though you might follow another YouTuber, you might follow the color along and do it along with them. I think we still have a tendency to add our own flair or our own style to what we're doing, which is neat and what art is all about. Okay, now I think I want to do, we'll get this little shadow under her eye. Get that a little softer. And here. And then I'm going to go ahead and make this side of her face a little bit darker right now, because it is the shadow side of her face. So if you were doing Prismacolor, I probably should have said this earlier, if you're doing this in Prismacolor, you're going to be using Chestnut. It's time for me to strike out and play around with some different skin tones. I need to come up with a combination of like a very super light skin, lighter than these, and then I want to do some darker skin, because I've got some gorgeous images where a darker skin tone would be appropriate. And I've done a few darker skin tones, and I found them a little trickier to get the look that I wanted. A little trickier on the blending, and that's the bummer about going back to work. I will have less time to play. Oh well, it was fun while it lasted, even though missing out on that income sucked. And I still don't know what it's going to be like. We'll see what happens when we open up our doors next week. All right, let's do some nose contouring here. It's really nice because she's already got quite a bit of the shading on here for you to see where those darker colors go. always try and go as light as I can on the nose to start with, because it's easy to muck it up. At least I've found it easy for me to mess up. If I go too dark, I can really change what I think the face was supposed to look like. So lighter is best to start with, for sure. You can always add more and build up the color. Okay, so we want to do some shading along the side of the nose, but very, very lightly, because the sun is coming from that direction. So I'm just using the lightest, as light as I possibly can. I'm barely, just kind of letting the gravity of the pencil on the paper do the coloring. We're going to go a little bit darker over here. I think a little bit darker here too. Go a little bit darker where the hair would shadow the forehead. Okay, let's do a little bit in here. And I'm going to break out my Prisma White and just go over her lip right here so I don't accidentally put too much color on that. A little bit there. A little bit on her nose. And for now, we'll leave it like that. So now I think I'm going to pull out the Burnt Ochre 50%. And if you're using Prismacolors, that would be Sienna Brown, I believe. Just coming in very lightly. I'm going to kind of blend out, like, how do I want to say this? I've said it before just fine. So you're going to go over the darker color. My brain just stopped working. I can't think of what that color is. You're going to go over the burnt sienna, 50%, and just kind of blend a little bit further into the virgin paper, I'll call it, just to soften the edge between the dark and the light. Sorry. Okay, a little bit on the neck. Actually, there's probably going to be some shadow from these flowers. Do I want to deal with that now or later? I don't know. Probably later. I don't know, that could be a mistake. Oh, you never know. Okay, a little bit in here. Just maybe a little bit here. Here. I might, let's see, what do I want to do for, I might do just a tiny little bit right there above the ball of her nose. Just a little bit. Okay, I think we're ready to start. Now I'm going to switch to Prismacolor. So I've got it all shined up or sharpened up. We're going to use the Prismacolor Light Peach. Again, I can use a slightly heavier pressure on the outer edge where the other pencils have already been laid down. But then as I as I bring the pencil into the center of the face where there isn't any pencil, I want to lighten my pressure a little bit. We didn't get any shading under that lip. I want to do that. Sorry for all the throat clearing. I'm having a bad allergy day. Okay, so back to the burnt sienna 50%. I'm just going to add a little bit of that right under her lip. And these redder tones, as opposed to browns, are really nice for warming up the grayscale pages. They do a real nice job of that. Okay, back to the light peach. And I'm going to come in and I'm just going to leave some white right kind of at the ball of her the ball of her chin. Okay, so this is the more shadowed side of her face. So I'm going to make the highlight on her cheek a little bit smaller and a little bit probably darker than the one that I'm going to do on this side of her face. Blend this a little bit. going to bring my peach onto her nose. I'm going to try and blend a little bit this darker color. I think I'm going to add a little bit more of that, a little further out. Let's try that. We're going to kind of blend it up into the ball of her nose, but we're going to go a little bit darker on the shadowed side and make sure we leave some white right on the tip. But because her face is turned just a little bit and the shadow is coming from this side, we're gonna make that white section not dead center of the ball, but closer to this side of her face. And then this is the brighter side of her face. So we don't want to go too heavy. Blend this out. So I'm using my Recollections cardstock. It's kind of on the smoother side. We've talked about it before in previous videos, but it works really well. It works really well for me. I really like it, and everybody's going to have different paper that they like. I've been recommended some papers that people just swear by and love, and I did not like them. So you might not like this one, or you might love it. It's hard to say. I did go ahead and buy again. Did go ahead and buy again some what's it called? I'm having a brain fart moment. Toned tan, the Strathmore toned tan paper. Thinking that I was going to love it the second time around. And gosh darn it, it was just too toothy for me. I just could not make my portraits look like I wanted them to, and it's really a bummer because I see other people use it and they make the most beautiful portraits with it, and I was just not happy with it again. So my friend is going to get another pack of Tone Tan paper, and I'm just going to admit defeat, I think. I just cannot get the hang of it. that being said, I am in the market for, I think my next paper purchase is going to be some pastel paper, because I bit the bullet and I bought a set of, not a full set, not a big giant set, but just a little flower set of pan pastels, because I watched a gazillion YouTube videos on them and saw such beautiful images being done with them. Not just coloring pages, but, you know, artists using them. And I just really wanted to try a set. So I bought them. And I tried them on a background on one of my pages using this paper. And while they didn't suck, they did not produce the super rich color that I had been seeing other artists achieving. And I am almost positive that it is because the paper that I'm using is too smooth for them, and they're just not gripping enough of the paper to produce that really dark, rich color. There's a few colored pencil artists out there that use a combination of colored pencils and these pan pastels, but I'm pretty sure that they use a pastel paper to do these. So I'm a little nervous about trying portraits on the pastel paper, because if I didn't like the tooth of the toned tan, I'm afraid I'm not going to like the tooth of the pastel paper. But I really, really want to try them and really make them work well. Because, I mean, let's admit it, they were kind of an investment. They weren't cheap. And I've used them, so I don't think I can return them. So I really want to try and figure out how to make them work. I mean, they're fine for if you want to do on these pages, if you want to do an easy and kind of light background, because it doesn't really grab, like I said, it doesn't really grab the paper very strongly. But I really want to, I want to broaden my horizons and learn how to do different techniques. Even though I have a feeling color pencils will probably always be my favorite. It's nice to be able to incorporate different media into a page. Okay, so I'm debating on how much shadow to do on this side of her neck, because I'm thinking in my head that if the sun is coming down from here, yes, it's going to shadow this side of her face, but it also might kind of hit down here. Her hair is providing some shadow for this side. We'll do some, I think, but I don't think I'm going to go crazy with shadow as you get lower down and away from the shadow that the head would make. So I'm going to come back with my burnt sienna 50%, which would be chestnut in Prismacolors. do a little bit right along the clothing line, just barely going up because the light's coming from above, so it wouldn't really. And then a little bit over here. And then it's going to be down here too, because her hair is providing the shadow for in here, plus all the, so we'll do that. Let's get a little bit more, uh-oh. Well, that's not good. What's wrong with my electric sharpener is plugged into a different cord, a different cable than what came with it, and it just doesn't have as much oomph when it's not in the original, with the original cord. That's in another room, so that's why it sounded sick. Make sure I'm in. I want to leave some of her neck a little bit. I don't know if I want to call it white, but definitely much lighter than what we're going to be doing on the rest of the neck. Okay, I think this needs to be a little bit darker. Okay, I still think, now that I see it, I've changed my mind, and I do want to go a little bit darker on this side of her neck. So let's do that. I think that's a little bit better. A little bit more over here. Okay, is there anything? I'm probably going to come in with some much darker colors here eventually. Put a little bit of shadow right there where the ball of her nose would cast, right there. I am going to add, do I want to use Prisma White, or let's go ahead and add the either Prisma White if you're using Prismas, or I think I'm going to use the Luminance White. I want to add a little bit of that in the areas that I really want to stay highlighted, because the color that's coming next is quite a bit darker, and I don't want it to darken those areas too much. I think I need a little bit more peach. I forgot to do the peach right here. And then that that white, a little bit right there. Right there. And we can stay away from those areas. And then a little bit right in here. Just to protect that a bit more. And then I see now that I didn't add enough peach on the forehead. I need to come in and do that. I totally spaced doing the forehead. How did I do that? And let's get this a little bit, that wouldn't be white, that would be skin tone color. I'll blend this just a little bit. Okay. Alrighty, now I am going to break out. So normally, if I was doing a total Caran d'Ache face, if I had not used the light peach, I would have used the burnt ochre 10%. But since I used the Prismacolor peach, I would have used burnt ochre 10%, and then I would have used the buff titanium. But because I used Prismacolor light peach to go over the top of that, I'm going to use brown ochre. Nope, that's not right. Brown ochre is what I would have used to go over it. Sorry, guys. No, do I not have it with me? Okay, I don't. Maybe this. I've got to get my stuff together. So give me a second. I'm going to turn the camera off, and I will be right back. Okay, I got myself all discombobulated for a second there. All right, so what I was saying was, if we had been doing all luminance pencils, instead of the light peach, I would have used burnt ochre 10%. And then I would have put buff titanium on the top of that. But because I used the light peach Prismacolor instead, I am going to use brown ochre 10% over the top. It seems to be a better color to go on top of the Prisma light peach. So that's what I'm going to do now. And we're going to use this to do some pretty good blending, I think. So I'm just going to erase right now, right there where the hair would be. Okay. There we go. That's better. And I did it again. I totally forgot to do the ear. That would be the light peach. No ear on this side, so we're good. We can keep going with the brown ochre 10%. I'm looking at that and I don't think that there's enough light peach right there, so I'm going to throw a little bit more down. More down here. Okay, so back to the brown ochre. Just really as lightly as I can kind of blend that in with the highlight so that it's nice and got a nice soft look to it. Just really lightly over that chin. I want to keep it light, but I don't want it white. Gosh darn it, am I out of frame? Guys, I'm so sorry. You probably watch this and go, seriously, Karen, again? I try really hard to keep it in frame, but I even have it marked on my page, but sometimes I just get carried away with what I'm doing and I totally space it. I'm going to add a little bit of peach that I missed right here. Okay, down to the neck. Going fairly lightly over this area because I was pretty light on the peach here. And I don't want it to be too yellow. Alrighty, let's see. Let's do a little bit of blending right there. Okay, let's add this is that one that I can't pronounce. This is that pink, number 571, Anthraquinoo pink. Or if you're using Prismas, it would be just pink. Or really any color of pink that strikes your fancy. Oh, I missed a little bit right there. Just gonna put that in there and then. Okay. So this is a pretty light touch as well. I'm going to come over the highlighted area but not cover it, just go over it a little bit. Some out here. And so I'm looking at her neck and I feel like it's not dark enough. So I'm just going to come in with a little bit more of the light peach. And just deepen that color down a little bit because I think I just left it a little bit too light. And that's looking better already. Yep, that's looking better. It's an artist's prerogative to change their minds, right? And sometimes I have no idea what I'm going to do with the page until I start on it. And I don't know any other way of saying that it just kind of tells you what it needs. If that makes sense. You just know. You start looking at what you've done and it's like, oh, well, that's not right and it needs more of whatever. So I know, I'm rambling. Let's get a little bit more color in here. That looks pretty good. I do want to leave a little bit of lighter. Okay, I know she looks really, really dark right now, but she won't after we finish. Alrighty, I think we're ready to blend. And I'm going to blend this whole thing out with white. And cross my fingers that, that it works, it looks good. Or else we'd be doing this all for nothing. Alright, so now I'm using Prisma White. And I'm just going to really give it a good blend. After I add a little bit more light peach right here. Okay. Just give it a good blend. When I blend around the highlight and the cheek, I'm blending in circles, and I'm trying to kind of move the pigment in so it really softens that line of where the highlight was and just blends it out really, really nicely. I don't want any harsh highlight lines. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit more darker color here in her ear. And I might just blend that with some peach. I kind of want to keep that dark. And I have my espresso. Maybe not that yet. I'm gonna go back out again so we can see her whole face. And I think I want to add some other, some of my other colors. So we're going to do that. So I'm going to add some Prismacolor, Greyed Lavender. And I'm going to do it kind of in maybe the most shadowed areas. It doesn't seem like a color that you would think would be in a face. I was surprised when I first, kind of read about this color being done with skin tones. But when I started adding it, my faces took on a whole new dimension. They just started looking so much better. And it was kind of there where I realized that the more colors that you add to skin, a lot of the times, the better that skin looks. I'm not sure if I added this. Just gonna, I think it needs to be, it's too bright right there for sure. It doesn't make sense. So I'm going to bring that burnt sienna into the ear just to darken up that lobe, because the lobe looked way too light for what it should be. And then maybe some burnt ochre 50% as well. What do I do with that? It needs something, but I don't know what. Well, I don't know what. We're probably going to come in with some espresso there, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. This is Greyed Lavender again. Now I'm going to put it up here at the hairline a little bit. Really liking the way that looks. Time to zoom back in again. Alrighty. I feel like it still needs to be darker right under here, and we might have to use, maybe we'll use Espresso for that. All right, I'm going to start with burnt sienna. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. Because I really like how this looks, and I feel like with her hair the way it is, it would still be darker over here. Yep. And Greyed Lavender. We're probably getting close to the end of my the tooth on my paper, because it is kind of a smooth cardstock. It's not. All right, I'm going to do some darker right here at her neck. Right here. Greyed Lavender. And burnt sienna, 50%, just darkening up right here. Okay, I think I want to darken up right underneath her nose a little bit more. I'm going to continue on with the burnt sienna just a little bit. I'm going to blend that a little bit. And then I'm going to come in with my Prismacolor Espresso and just ever so lightly this nostril needs to be a little bit darker, so I need to get that light peach in there. Some of the burnt sienna, 50%, right under here. And you know what, let's do the nostrils, get those in, because that'll help me. So I'm using my Sherpa Farben black, but you can use any black. You can use your Prisma black, you can use your Luminance black. Okay, now that helps me to visualize a little bit better what I'm continuing to do for the nose. We're almost there. I'm going to just put some of this burnt ochre, 50%. And I'm going to go very lightly under the nose. And I realize I didn't blend this area with the peach.
So I'll get that in there. And then I'm going to go over this really light area that we haven't even put anything on yet, because I don't want it to be white. I just want it to be lighter than the rest of the face. So I'm going to use my light peach. And I'm just going to soften that harsh white line, because I don't think anybody has a harsh white line on their face. Okay, that's better. Let's soften that up a bit. And I think I want to continue to go a little bit darker on her nose. So this is the Espresso. And I'm just going to very lightly right there. And then I think we can probably blend that out with the light peach. Soften that. And I think I'm going to use the Espresso just right here. Very, very, very light touch. Don't want it too dark, but I do want it darker. So just like that. I'm going to blend that out with my Caran d'Ache blender. Nice. Okay, I'm going to also use the Espresso under at the crease of her eye. I'm just going to feather it up a little bit, and then I'll blend that out. And then over here as well. Okay, I want to do some Espresso right here at that darkest spot under the neck, under the chin, as well as right here. I might actually bring that down a little bit, because I kind of like that. Yes, I do. In fact, I like that so much that I think I'm going to put it right up here on her hairline. And along the very edge of her face. here a little bit. Just really close to that hairline, not just a little bit. And right there. Blend that ear out a little bit with my blender. Okay, I feel like her neck is still too light. I don't know if there's anything I can, we're going to try and fix that a little bit. Hopefully we can do it. So I'm going to do a little bit more light peach. And then burnt sienna 50%. Let's see, we'll go over here to start with. Cross your fingers. I'm crossing my fingers that I'm not at the end of my tooth on my paper, so that when I blend this, it doesn't get yucky. Okay, I'm going to go right darker, but just literally almost like I'm drawing over the line between the skin and her shirt or her dress. And let's see, I'm going to try and blend this with the peach, but it might be better to do the blender. I don't know. No, we'll be all right. So I'm just blending it out with the light peach Prismacolor. I'm hoping that when I get the color on the dress, that line won't look so odd. It felt like the right thing to do at the time, but I'm not sure now. All right, this is my Caran d'Ache blender. blending that up a little bit. Okay. Now I did not give her any neck muscles. Now I feel like that might have been a mistake. But I don't know if I can fix that or not. So I'm just going to take my white and see what happens if I just kind of come down. I don't think it's going to work, but I'll see. Because she would have that line here. Oh, I hope this isn't a mistake. She would have, is that where it would be? I think that would be where it would be. I'm going to put that little divot. Ugh. No, I think that's right. Okay, I'm going to put that little divot right there. All right. I should have done that earlier, but I didn't. But it still turned out okay. I think it looks all right. Just go with, we're going to go with it. All right, last thing I want to do is a teensy bit of mineral orange. Don't know how it's going to look. Hopefully we like it. Just a wee bit. Alrighty. I think that looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. And as always, I know they'll look so much better once you get the lips and the eyes on. So I'm going to stop the video. We're going to check it for time, and I'm going to check my battery. And if we have time and battery willing, I'll come back and we will finish up her eyes and lips. Okay guys, I am back. I checked the time and holy moly, this video ran long. It's about almost 2 hours long, but I feel like we should do her whole face. So if you don't mind, we're going to go ahead and tack it on there to the rest of the video. So
gosh, we'll probably be at about 2.5 hours, but hopefully you can hang in there with me. You can always stop and start it at your convenience. So let's do it. Okay, I don't know why, but I tend to want to do the lips before the eyes. I have no idea why, but that's what we're going to do. So I pulled out my Prisma White, and let's zoom in a little bit. And so I'm going to put the white just kind of on the fullest part of her lip, kind of going in lines. And I feel like a little bit on the top too. We'll try it and see what happens. Okay, then I generally use Nectar as my base coat, and then other colors can follow on top. I'm not sure if I'm gonna venture out of my comfort zone or stay in it yet, so let's just throw down some of this Nectar. I kind of always do straight lines on the lips because it mimics the natural lines that lips have. I think that I want to do these flowers in purple. I haven't done a blonde hair yet, so I think we might do her with blonde hair. Okay, so let's, oh, do I want to do, maybe we try henna and the Tuscan Red this time, or maybe, yeah, let's do that. Let's try some henna, and then we can always warm it up with some Tuscan Red if we want to. So, Prismacolor henna. I wonder if we should try a pink. It's kind of, it's risky trying a color I haven't tried before when I'm on video. Not sure if I want to do that or not. So I'm just going to pull out my color swatch chart. So if I want to do the flowers in purple, and she's going to have blonde hair, I am kind of wondering if I should maybe try a pinkier color. And I think it'll still look okay with what we've done so far. Let's give this pink rose a try. Ooh, I don't know. Blush pink or pink rose. They're very different. I'm not sure which one. Okay, I'm going to try blush pink, and then we'll see what that looks like. So, of course, wouldn't that be the one that I don't have in my book, and it's in the other room? Okay. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm a silly girl. It was here all the time. All right, so let's try some blush pink. There is something about the combination of pink and orange that I really like, and the henna does tend to have an orangey tone to it, so I think this is going to be really pretty. All right, now I'm kind of wondering if I used too much of that other color and it's not even pink enough. So what could we use to make it even pinker? And I would say that would be actual pink. That would be actual pink. So let's try that and see how that goes. It's kind of always darker right in the lip crease, or right where the two lips meet, so I think we can go pretty a little heavier there. And maybe some more down here. Oh, I like it. Going to kind of blend that heavy line up a little bit into the lip. That's a pretty color. There's that one. I'm going to use my Prisma blender. I want something a little bit darker in there in between the two lips, because I don't think it's quite dark enough there. So that's either going to mean, because there are no darker pinks, so that means that we may have to go with something like, sorry guys, I forgot to put my phone on airplane mode again, so Had a little disruption. All right. I want this to be a little bit darker. I'm going to go ahead and use, I think, Mahogany Red. It's a little bit pinker than the Tuscan Red. It'll give me a little bit more pinky tones. So we need number 26. And let's try that. Let's zoom in a little bit. I'm going to start out going right in the very center, right over that dark line. And then we can decide. Little bit. Let's do a little bit. That's better. I think I like that with a little bit darker under here. So this is showing as a shadow, and I wonder if I need to be making that lip a little bit bigger. Ooh, this is... Alright, this is scary. I don't want to get it... I don't want to make it too big and have it be looking stupid. I don't know, something about that is now bugging me. Alright, well, I think it's because it looks too gray. I don't know what happened to the shading that I had underneath it. So I'm gonna pull out my burnt Sienna 50% that I used to shade under her lip before. And I'm gonna come back with that. Maybe it's just that it needed to have a warmer color under there instead of that gray. Okay. Well, since I have it out, I'm gonna I want to add a little bit more over here. It just was looking at me going, something wasn't right there. There's a little bit more of that. That's better. Okay, let's move on. We can always come back to the lip. I might want to come back to the lip. I might want to come back to the lip later, but we'll move on and we'll go for the we'll do the eyes. Okay, for her eyes, I am debating between blue and green. So I'm curious to know what, let's see, I'm going to zoom out a little bit here, you guys. Well, I was going to zoom out. Okay, so blue eyes or green eyes? I almost want to do the blonde hair before I do the eyes, but then again I don't. So I think we're going to go green eyes, and I think we're going to do dark green eyes. So let's start there, and then we can always add other colors to it. So let me pull out my dark green. I just don't know if I'm going to like all of this or not. But then I never do know until I get it going and get it finished. So we're just going to give it a whirl here. I don't know why that came out so much darker than the rest of the eye. All right, we need to get those pupils in there. And I'm going to try and preserve this highlight, but we may have to come over and redo it when well, that makes a difference, doesn't it? Alrighty. I think eyes are more interesting when they're flecked with other color, or different shades of color. So maybe we put in a little bit of brighter green too. Let's see what it looks like. Alrighty, and I'm going to take some espresso and go around the outer edge.
teeny tiny little flecks in towards the center of the eye. I think I'm just going to bring this in a little bit more. There. This one's going to need more white. I covered up too much of the highlight there. We can fix that. All right, let's finish up these eyes. I think I want to do, I wonder how peach would look. Let's try peach in this little bit right under the eye. But I think I want something a little bit pinker in the corner of the eye. So I'll use Nectar. Okay, and then let's, I don't know why, but I want to just brighten with white. Just going to brighten right, not the whole thing. It's just something, I don't know why. I felt like it needed it. Okay, now I'm going to take my Farben black, but you can use any black that you choose. And even though I'm doing blonde, I do always tend to want to do dark eye lashes or dark eye makeup, sort of, so to speak. But I'm wondering if we should do espresso instead of black. That might make it a little bit softer. So let's try espresso instead. See if I can get that sharp. And I think we'll thicken this up a little bit by just kind of putting a soft blur right along the lash line. And then down here. not sure. I want there to be I'm going to use this espresso like so lightly. I just want the tiniest bit of divider line. There we go. That's better. Alrighty. Let's I'm going to put a little bit of this espresso right here as well. So just in a ring around the pupil. Okay, and do I have my use my white Posca pen. Just to make this highlight a little bit bigger. And that one a little bit more defined. All right, let's get some eyebrows on her and then I think we'll be done. So do we want really dark eyebrows or do we want, let's see, the blonde I'm going to use, I think we'll go, I think we're going to go ahead and use, let's use Light Umber for the eyebrows. We can always darken them up. A bit. So Light Umber for the eyebrows. Just to kind of finish off her face so she looks finished. And I may wind up darkening them later, but maybe not. Can always go darker, can't go lighter. Going to bring a little bit of white, too sharp of a white, right under her brow, and I still feel like that is too light. Is that too light? This is espresso. We're just going to go a little bit darker under here. It's just well, I don't know what's happening here. I don't know if I'm just experiencing some, I don't know what I'm experiencing, but I don't like this. I'm going to just touch up right here. I don't think I'm having wax bloom already, but I've never experienced that before. My only thought is that I don't put enough, that I don't have enough layers on my paper for that to happen, but I could be wrong. It's just something about it just looked wrong there. And of course, now I feel like I messed it up. So all right, well, that's a little bit better. It was a little too orange right there. So that's pretty good. I think after we get her hair in, that will make all the difference in the world. So I'm going to call her good for now. We may do a little bit of tweaking on the next video, but for now, I would say her skin is done. That was a long video. Hope you guys hung out with me through the whole thing. So I will be back later for part 2. As always, thank you so much for hanging out, spending some time with me. I love doing these videos. And if you like what you see, please hit that subscribe button. It really, really will help me to grow my channel and allow me to keep making more videos. Thank you all. See you next time.